All the right notes, not necessarily in the right order. Hello, children. Well, I've not done anything for a couple of days, have I? But I have been busy and I have been sorting out books and I have been sorting out some of my things. And I think we all keep things, don't we, that are precious to us. This hat is precious to me because it reminds me of when I used to go to festivals and I used to sit and listen to bands in a field with your grandpa. And in this box, this is a box that Victoria made for me when it was my 60th birthday, because that's quite old, isn't it? And in this box I keep some of my treasures. Have you got a treasure box to keep your nice things in, to keep things that are nice memories and nice things? I've got all sorts in this box. I've got photographs, I've got old shoes, I've got a watch, I've got some jewellery, I've got a medal. And this medal, I will tell you a little story about this medal, because this is a medal, two medals in fact, that belonged to my dad. This is my dad. This is my dad and my mum. That's Jim and that's Florence, and that little baby there is me. And that was over 65 years ago in 1954. It was a long, long time ago, wasn't it? And my dad was in the Second World War and he was a soldier. And when he was in the war, he went a long way away to a place called Palestine. And he was in the Palestine police. And this is his badge for being in the Palestine police. And when he finished in the war, they gave him a medal. There we are. Palestine, 1945 to 1948. That's a long, long time ago. And that's King George that was on the throne at the time. And a picture of an angel on the back. Isn't that wonderful? And that is my dad's medal. And when he was in Palestine, he told me that he went to a place called the Dead Sea. And the Dead Sea is like a big lake, but it's a sea, and it's full of salt. And it's so salty that if you sit in it, you can float. You don't have to swim, you just float. And he was all the way over there fighting for his country. And then when he came back, he met my mum, Florence, and they fell in love and they got married, and then they had me. Isn't that lovely? So there are two precious things that live in my treasure box. There we go. And the reason that I thought about treasure boxes is because, and I won't show you it today, but I will do one day, when Louise was a little girl, she went to stay with her dad for a little while, just a week or so. And while she was away, she missed me and I missed her. And she made me a beautiful little box full of lots of treasured thoughts and memories. So memories don't have to be things, they can also be memories. And I was reminded of that today, and I thought I would share that with you. Maybe you could make a memory box or a treasure box yourself. Wouldn't that be nice? Right, I think it's time for stories. So I think we'll have a little tiny story today, and we'll have the tale of Ginger and Pickles. Have we had that one? I don't think we have. It's one of the tiny ones, Beatrix Potter. The tale of Ginger and Pickles. So, are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. And every day I will show you something, a treasure from my treasure box, and tell you a little story about it so that you'll know more about me and your mums and your dads and people in the family. Won't that be nice? Right, so, are you sitting comfortably? Are you behaving yourself? I hope you are. Then I'll begin. Takes ages to get in. Right. Once upon a time there was a village shop. The name over the window was Ginger and Pickles. It was a little small shop, just the right size for dolls. Lucinda and Jane Doll Cook always bought their groceries at Ginger and Pickles. There they are, looking in the window. The counter inside was a convenient height for rabbits. Ginger and Pickles sold red spotty handkerchiefs at a penny 3 farthings. Now a penny 3 farthings would be worth about 1p, if that. Now, it wasn't very much money then. Well, it was a lot of money then, but it wasn't very much money now, isn't? They also sold sugar and snuff and galoshes. Now, galoshes is a posh name for Wellingtons, and snuff is something that years ago people used to put up their noses because they liked the smell of it, but it didn't do you any good. It was like smoking, so they stopped it. In fact, although it was such a small shop, it sold nearly everything, except a few things that you want in a hurry, like bootlaces, hairpins and mutton chops. Mutton chops is like lamb chops. Ginger and Pickles were the people who kept the shop. Ginger was a yellow tomcat and Pickles was a terrier, which is a little dog. The rabbits were always a little bit afraid of Pickles, who was the terrier. And there's a picture of them in their shop. Ginger and Pickles. There we are. The shop was also patronised by mice. Only the mice were rather afraid of Ginger, because most mice are afraid of cats, aren't they? Ginger usually requested Pickles to serve them because he said it made his mouth water. Perhaps he wanted to eat them. I cannot bear, said he, to see them going out at the door carrying their little parcels. And there they are, going out, carrying their little parcels. I have the same feeling about rats, replied Pickles, but it would never do to eat our own customers. They would leave us and go to Tabitha Twitchit's. On the contrary, they would go nowhere, replied Ginger gloomily. Tabitha Twitchit kept the only other shop in the village. She did not give credit. Credit means that you let people take things without paying for them and then they pay later on, which is not a good idea at all, because really you should pay for things when you can afford them. Ginger and Pickles gave unlimited credit. Now the meaning of credit is this. They're going to explain it now. When a customer buys a bar of soap, instead of the customer pulling out a purse and paying for it, she says she will pay another time. And Pickles makes a low bow and says, with pleasure, madam, and writes it down in a book. The customers come again and buy quantities in spite of being afraid of Ginger and Pickles. But there is no money in what is called the till. Oh dear. So it isn't a good idea, is it? The customers came in crowds every day and bought quantities, especially the toffee customers. There was always no money. They never paid for as much as a pennyworth of peppermints. But the sales were enormous, 10 times as large as Tabitha Twitchit's. And there they are, all going in and out of the shop. Oh, no wonder if they didn't have to pay for anything. As there was always no money, Ginger and Pickles were obliged to eat their own goods. Pickles ate biscuits and Ginger ate dried haddock, because cats like fish. I made fish pie today. It is yummy. They ate them by candlelight after the shop was closed. There they are, eating by candlelight. Because perhaps they didn't have electricity then either. When it came to January the 1st, there was still no money, and Pickles was unable to buy a dog licence, because you have to have a licence to have a dog. It is very unpleasant. I'm afraid of the police, said Pickles. It is your own fault for being a terrier. I do not require a licence, and neither does Kep the collie dog. How strange. It is very uncomfortable. I am afraid I shall be summoned. I have tried in vain to get a licence upon credit at the post office, said Pickles. The place is full of policemen. I met one as I was coming home. Let us send the bill again to Samuel Whiskers, Ginger. He owes a lot of money for bacon. "I do not believe that he intends to pay at all," replied Ginger. There they are in the street. I don't know who they are. Must be going to the post office. "And I feel sure that Anna Maria pockets things. Where are all the cream crackers?" "You have eaten them yourself," said Ginger. Ginger and Pickles retired to the back parlour, and the back parlour is a room that they used to call a parlour that was often at the back of a shop. They did accounts. They added up sums and sums and sums. Samuel Whiskers has run up a bill as long as his tail. He has 1 ounce and 3/4 of snuff since October. "What is 7 pounds of butter at 1 and 3 and a stick of sealing wax and 4 matches? Send in all the bills again to everybody," replied Ginger. And there they are, writing out all the bills again, because what they shouldn't have done was give credit, should they? After a time they heard a noise in the shop, as if something had been pushed in at the door. They came out of the back parlour. There was an envelope lying on the counter and a policeman writing in a notebook. Oh dear. There he is. You can hardly see him though. Pickles nearly had a fit. He barked and made little rushes. "Bite him, Pickles, bite him," spluttered Ginger behind the sugar barrel. "He's only a German doll." The policeman was a doll. The policeman went on writing in his notebook. Twice he put his pencil in his mouth, and once he dipped it in the treacle. Pickles barked till he was hoarse, but still the policeman took no notice. He had bead eyes, and his helmet was sewed on with stitches. Fancy that. At length, on his last little rush, Pickles found that the shop was empty. The policeman had disappeared, but the envelope remained. "Do you think that he has gone to fetch a real live policeman? I am afraid it is a summons," said Pickles. "No," replied Ginger, who had opened the envelope. "It is the rates and taxes. £3.19 and 11 3/4. What a lot of money." "This is the last straw," said Pickles. "Let us close the shop." They put up the shutters and left, but they had not removed from the neighbourhood. In fact, some people wish they had gone further. There they are, putting up the shutters on their shop. Ginger lived in the warren. Now the warren is a little hole in the little place in the countryside. I do not know what occupation he pursues. He looks stout and comfortable. And Pickles is at present a gamekeeper. That means he goes around hunting rabbits. The closing of the shop caused a great inconvenience. Tabitha Twitchit immediately raised the price of everything half a penny, and she continued to refuse to give credit. Oh, sensible her. But there they all are, looking at the shop. Where's everybody gone? Of course, there were tradesmen's carts, the butcher, the fishman, and Timothy Baker. But a person cannot live on seed wigs and sponge cake and butter buns, not even when the sponge cake is as good as Timothy's. This story is not making sense. After a time, Mr. John Dormouse and his daughter began to sell peppermints and candles. That must be his daughter. But they did not keep self-fitting sixes, and it takes 5 mice to carry one 7-inch candle. Besides, the candles which they sell behave very strangely in warm weather. That is, that they melt and they bend over. Oh dear. And Miss Dormouse refused to take back ends when they were brought back to her with complaints. And when Mr. John Dormouse was complained to, he stayed in bed and would say nothing, but very snug, which is not the way to carry on a retail business. There he is in bed. This is a very silly book. So everybody was pleased when Sally Henny Penny sent out a printed poster to say that she was going to reopen the shop. Henny's opening sale, Grand Cooperative Jumble, Penny's penny prices, come buy, come buy. The poster was really most enticing. They all are looking at it. There was a rush upon the opening day. The shop was crammed with customers, and there were crowds of mice upon the biscuit canisters. Sally Henny Penny got rather flustered when she tried to count out change, but she insisted on being paid cash. There she is, very sensible. And she laid in a remarkable assortment of bargains, so that there was something to please everybody. And there they all are, happy in the shop. We know a story about Henny Penny, don't we? And Chicken Licken, because I think that was the very first story that I read to you. Anyway, that one was a little bit strange, but never mind. There we go. We will put it away and we will read a different one next time. So I hope you're having fun in the sunshine and not getting too much rain. But the flowers need the rain to grow. And my vegetables, courgettes. Okay. Say goodbye, Lamb Chop. Bye. Say goodbye, Rabbit. Bye. And see if you can make your own little treasure chest. Okay. I really must learn to play the recorder. Goodbye, children.